There's a major development in the ongoing lawsuit filed by Marilyn Manson against actress Evan Rachel Wood and her friend Ilma Gore. Manson sued them both for defamation, accusing them of conspiring to ruin his reputation in public. Manson has vehemently denied the allegations against him. He also has had an ongoing criminal investigation. There have been no updates into that investigation for quite some time. His home was raided in connection with that. There have been talks of it coming to an end. That was in late 2022 when we were hearing about that. Since that time, there have been no updates provided about whether or not Manson would be charged in this criminal investigation. Still nowhere on that. But where we do have new updates is in this civil suit filed by Manson, the defamation suit against actress Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore. He's been told that he's going to have to pay more than $300,000 in attorney's fees. The judge knocked off $60,000 of that. There is a trial date set for May 1st. Questions of whether or not that is when the trial is actually going to occur certainly are warranted here. But let's take a look at the coverage of the situation and break down the details. And then we're going to speak to an attorney who has further insight on this. This is reporting from Pitchfork. I've linked to it in the description. It says a Los Angeles County Superior Court judge has ordered Marilyn Manson to pay Evan Rachel Wood's legal fees that she accrued while defending against his defamation and emotional distress claims that have since been removed from that still pending lawsuit against her. Now, the reimbursement is $388,000. That was the initial claim, but the judge sided with Manson's attorneys who apparently went through and audited some of those charges. They said that her billed hours were too vague, so she knocked off around $60,000. Now, this article also points out that there has been a lot thrown out from this case. The judge threw out many of the accusations in the lawsuit, including Manson's assertion that Evan Rachel Wood recruited and coordinated and even pressured women to make false statements about him, and another claim alleging that Wood had forged an FBI letter, that very controversial FBI letter that the FBI claims they never circulated to anyone. The case, however, is still not over. Correctly pointed out, Manson's claims that Wood and Gore conspired to hack into his computer, they impersonated him online allegedly, and made a swatting call for police to come to his home have yet to be decided upon. That trial is currently set for May 1st. In the meantime, Manson's career has been on hold, though he has occasionally and periodically posted to social media, sometimes even teasing music releases. It does appear as though this situation is going to be headed for the courts. There's so much of this to go into. Joining us now to talk about this situation, to understand this further, is Mandy McKellar. She's an attorney at McKellar Law in Nevada. You can check out her practice at the link in the description. Now, Mandy, it seems like this is a big deal that the attorney's fees are going to Marilyn Manson. I know there's a trial date set for May. Can you kind of break down from your expertise what this all means?
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me. I love talking about these kind of lawsuits instead of the ones that I work on. Marilyn Manson basically had filed a couple of claims, but half of the claims, or actually most of the claims, were dismissed. So if you file a lawsuit against somebody and then the lawsuit is dismissed and it's kind of like, oh, it was a waste of time, you could be responsible for paying the other party's attorney's fees in the event that for the work and time that it took for them to fight you up to dismissal. So, but then there is another aspect of the case, which you mentioned, is going to trial. I believe it's May 1st is what I read. And on May 1st is when they're going to determine if, actually they called it allegedly. I mean, a lot of people are swatting now. They're calling like fake cops over to people's houses to get the SWAT team involved so somebody gets arrested. So that claim that Marilyn Manson has still kind of holds water in this circumstance. There is a potential that if he did win that claim, he would get, his damages from it, whatever they are. And additionally, he could also be ordered to have his attorney's fees paid by her. So in the end, it could kind of be like Johnny Depp's trial, all in the wash. But at this moment in time, he has to cover the costs that she lost for defending him against the dismissed portions of the lawsuit.
What do you think the trial coming up in May, how do you think that's going to play out? I know that there's a chance. It doesn't seem likely that there will be a settlement. This is a very contentious situation, but do you think this will actually go to trial in May?
I wonder. I know he's reaching a lot of private settlements with many Jane Does who have been involved with him in the past, but there's also been some of them that just kind of dropped off. One of them went off in default, I read. That was another lawsuit. So yeah, Marilyn Manson has a lot of legal issues right now. I don't see that he would back off of this and not go to trial. Most of the time when, especially now that he has to pay attorney's fees, there's definitely an incentive to more go to trial over these things. I'm not sure what the evidence shows, and I'm not sure what evidence they need for swatting. I'm assuming it's computer evidence and, forensic analysis of computers and phones and whoever she was talking to, because there was another person involved. But I definitely can say it's probably going to go to trial.
Yeah, and it seems like when that trial occurs, it's going to be probably similar to Johnny Depp. There's going to be a lot of media attention, and it's going to be one of those things where there is a potential for a settlement, but it just doesn't seem like that is going to happen in this situation, considering how contentious it's been. I wonder if you can kind of expound upon. He's filed a defamation lawsuit. From what I've understand, my limited knowledge of this, it's very difficult for him to kind of. He's got an uphill battle in this situation. It appears.
Well, from what I read and what I've seen, the dismissed portion of the lawsuit was the defamation. The next portion is only on the swatting term for kind of putting him up online to say that, the SWAT team needed to go into his house and have him arrested. That's the portion of the lawsuit that's still alive. The rest of it is dead. So I think his defamation lawsuit is kind of dead in the water at this point. Or her, or yeah, that's what I meant.
I've seen them discuss, particularly Manson's attorneys discuss maybe appealing the decision for them to throw out so much of that case. I know that his attorney had said at the time. I'm wondering if that could potentially affect that May 1st trial date. Now, the tossing out of so much of the case that occurred last year, and so I'm wondering if that is going to play into potentially delaying this trial.
They're going to delay this trial anyway. I mean, I wouldn't sit around on May and wait for it to be like the Johnny Depp case where we all get to sit around and watch. I mean, I'll watch, but it's not going to happen in May. They're going to continue this out. I wouldn't be surprised after the attorney's fees judgment if there's an appeal after that, because if you read about the attorney's fees judgment, they reduced it by $60,000 based on vagueness in the other attorney's billing. So what that means is the other attorney had some sort of things in their billing statements, because we all have to have billing statements and it has to be detailed as to the work that was completed in the case. So what the judge did was the judge looked at the billing statements, and there was probably some days that didn't coincide with the time that was involved, and it was reduced by $60,000. That alone would potentially tell me that there could even be an appeal on this judgment, because he can still appeal this judgment as well. As far as the dismissal, though, of the defamation claims from way before, I don't think that it's time. His time is probably told on being able to file an appeal on that. So that portion of the case might just be done. Because you have to file an appeal. Typically, it depends on each state, but typically it's within 10 days of the final judgment, you have to file what's called a notice of appeal. So I wouldn't be surprised if within 10 days we see a notice of appeal filed on these attorney's fees judgment, and then we'll see what happens.
What I get from this, Mandy, is that this situation is very far from over. And I'm so glad we had you on, because even I didn't think that this trial was going to be ready to go in May. And I would be shocked if it did.
If it does, then we'll all again be watching, just like Johnny Depp. We'll have some entertainment for a few months, because I'm sure it'll take a few months. It is a civil trial, so they can take quite a long time. But I like to follow it, and I can't wait to see what happens, but I just really don't think that May 1st is going to happen.
Well, Mandy, I really appreciate you joining us and providing us with your expertise. We'll definitely have you back on. McKellar Law, check her out at the link in the description and follow her on social media.
Yes. Have a good day.
Thank you. As Mandy pointed out there, it appears there is a long way to go in this case, and we're going to keep you updated as this situation unfolds. That's your latest update from Rockfeed. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Consider hitting that subscribe button with notifications on for the latest news and updates about your favorite bands.